1, 2. There we go. Good evening. The November 13, 2024 regular meeting of the Murrieta Planning Commission is called to order. Would the Secretary please call roll for determination of a quorum, please?
Thank you, Chair. Chair Harlan.
Here.
Vice Chair Vrooman.
Here.
Commissioner Wojcik.
Here.
Commissioner LaPaglia.
Here.
Commissioner Fisher.
Here.
Let the record reflect all members are present.
Thank you so much. Let's move on to the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Wojcik, would you please lead us?
Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. So we'll now be moving on to the approval of the agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda?
Seeing none.
I'd like to call for a motion and a second to approve the agenda, please.
I'll make that motion to approve.
Second.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Madam Secretary, will you please do a roll call vote?
Commissioner Wojcik.
Aye.
Commissioner LaPaglia.
Aye.
Commissioner Fisher.
Aye.
Vice Chair Vrooman.
Aye.
Chair Harlan.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously, 5-0.
Thank you. We'll move on to public comments. At this time, we'll take public comments. Any person may address the Planning Commission on any subject pertaining to city business which does not relate to any item listed on the agenda or the consent calendar. Normally, no action may be considered or taken by the Planning Commission on any matter not listed on the agenda. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. Madam Secretary, do we have any non-agenda public comments?
Seeing none.
Thank you. We're now moving on to the approval of the minutes. Looking to approve the minutes of the September 11, 2024 and September 25th, 2024 regular Planning Commission meeting as presented. Madam Secretary, are there any members of the public requesting to speak on the approval of the minutes?
Seeing none.
Gentlemen, I'd like to call for a motion and a second to approve the minutes, please.
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes of September 11th and September 25th, 2024.
I have a technical question for the city attorney. If I was here on one of the meetings and not on the other, can I vote on the minutes for one or both?
So you have a couple choices. You can ask for an alternate motion, and which would split and divide those and vote on them separately. If you actually had an opportunity to watch the meeting and are familiar with what happened, you certainly still can vote on the meeting you did not attend based on approving that they accurately reflect what you saw in the meeting.
Okay, I did watch the one I was not here, so I'll go ahead and second that motion unless somebody has an alternate motion.
So we have a motion and a second. Madam Secretary, please do a roll call vote.
Commissioner Wojcik.
Aye.
Commissioner LaPaglia.
Aye. Commissioner
Fisher.
Aye.
Vice Chair Vrooman.
Aye.
Chair Harlan.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously, 5-0.
That was a great question, Mr. Vrooman. Thank you for that. Okay, we'll move on to the public hearing. The U-Haul Development Plan, DP-2021-2359, and Conditional Use Permit, CUP 2021-2360. Are there any members of the Planning Commission that wish to abstain or recuse themselves from this item? You good? Seeing none, we'll move on to staff presentation. Staff, may we have a report, please?
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Farah Bullocan. I'll be conducting tonight's presentation for the item before you for the proposed U-Haul self-storage facility. So the project site is pictured above. It's 1.1 acre in size. It's approximately 160 feet east of Jefferson Avenue and south of Los Alamos Road. There are 2 lots. It's a part of this project proposal that's proposed to be merged. And the development plan is for the construction of a 15,579 square foot storage facility. The conditional use permit is for the operation of a self-storage facility within the community commercial zone. The site here is outlined in black, and it's colored in red, which is the zoning designation for community commercial. Respectively, the site has a general plan land use designation of commercial. Here is an aerial view of the project site, outlined in yellow there. Primary access to the project site will be provided via Los Alamos Road. The site is abutting an existing U-Haul facility to the south, which is fronting Jefferson Avenue. However, that project will not be evaluated as part of this proposal. This is a standalone proposal before you. Here is the site plan for U-Haul. As you can see here, the structure is primarily going to be concentrated on the westerly half of the project site. Associated landscaping is provided throughout the site here, predominantly surrounding the perimeter of the project site, as well as throughout the landscape, the minimal parking area that's provided on site. Respective trash enclosure areas also provided here, and as well as parking. The project will be providing or exceeding the minimum requirement for landscape parking and trash, as seen here. The secondary access that you are seeing here, where my cursor is hovering over it, will be the southerly portion of the project site that connects to the existing U-Haul facility. Non-gated access will be provided via Los Alamos here, where my cursor is to the north of the project site. Here is a floor plan of the proposed U-Haul facility. So you can see here it's an open concept floor plan. You're not really seeing a lot of walls inside. The proposal is for U-boxes that's going to be stacked within the interior of this structure here. Proposed to be stacked 3 to 4 U-boxes high, I believe, based off of the applicant's description. Forklifts will be operated by staff members and will be utilized to access and store as well as manage the U-boxes on site. My cursor is hovering over the customer lobby area, which will be primarily where the staging will occur for the U-boxes. So customers will contact U-Haul 12 to 24 hours in advance prior to going on site to access their U-boxes, where staff will then coordinate with one another in order to stage those accordingly. There will be no exterior staging of any kind as part of this proposal. All of the U-boxes storage and staging will be contained within the structure. Pictured here are the north and east elevation. The north elevation is going to be fronting Los Alamos Road. You can see here that there are plane breaks that are featured as part of their architectural design. They'll be stepping the building back about 45 feet. You're seeing that building from 32 to 40 feet. It's easier to see here on the easterly side. For about 45 feet, they're going to reach the maximum height of 50 feet. So they're offering that plane change to break up the massing of the structure a bit so that it's more commensurate with what's surrounding within the surrounding vicinity. The east elevation is going to be facing the parking area of the site here. As you can see here, we have a few architectural elements that are folded into the design, which features stucco pitched metal roof, stone veneers at the column and base of the project. We also have complementary paint colors with the surrounding neighborhood. Canopies and awnings are also proposed, as well as arcades that are proposed at the base of the building. That design's carried on the easterly elevation as well, which is not facing the public right of way. Here you'll see the south elevation and the west elevation. The south elevation is where the customer lobby area is, where my cursor is hovering. So this is where the customers will pull in and access their U-boxes within the interior of the building. West elevation's facing into an adjacent commercial development. What you're seeing here is a 360 architectural design where they're incorporating the windows, stone veneer, arcades, and other architectural elements that they're providing for the street-facing elevation. The design before you is the outcome of several redesigns since the early conception of this project. Staff has worked diligently with the applicant in order to come up with a design that's commensurate with the surrounding neighborhood and that's complementary to what's existing out there in terms of architectural style, massing, as well as the type of materials that they're using within their elevations. So in terms of the operations for the conditional use permit, the hours of operations restricted to the list identified here. Monday, Thursday, and Saturday will be operating from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Friday they will be operating from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sundays 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. All U-boxes, as previously mentioned, will be contained within the structure where customers are able to access it by contacting U-Haul 12 to 24 hours in advance. There's no outside storage of any items, materials, or U-boxes of any kind. And the operator also identified in their statement of operation they'll be utilizing surveillance mechanism for security measure. Staff has the following recommendation. Consider and approve the notice of exemption for infill development class 32 pursuant to the California CEQA, California Environmental Quality Act CEQA, see attachment 4 for more information, and adopt the resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of Murrieta approving the development plan permit 2021-2359 and conditional use permit 2021-2360 for the construction and operation of a 15,579 square foot self-storage facility on 1.11 acre site on Los Alamos Road, based upon the findings and subject to the conditions of approval in Exhibits A, B, and operational statement in Exhibit C. Please note for the record that the draft resolution that was attached in the staff report package has a clerical error that falsely identifies the noticing date. Prior to finalizing the document, staff will correct that to reflect the correct dates that the noticing was sent out to the public. We did allow for extra days for noticing. The minimum standard requirement per code is 10 days. However, we noticed it about 10 to 12 days in advance. So the noticing actually went out earlier than the minimum requirement for this project. So that concludes my presentation. Staff's available to answer any questions that the commissioners may have.
Thank you, Farah, for the presentation and the specifics. Much appreciated. We'll move it up here to the dais for questions. Mr. Fisher, would you like to lead off? Any questions?
Yes. U-Haul has a storage facility existing today off of Jefferson. Is this behind that, or is it a different location, and does it have access to the current one?
Thank you for your question, Commissioner Fisher. So the existing project site that you're referencing on Jefferson Avenue is directly south of that project site. It's not completely pictured here, but this is where my cursor is hovering. So it's south of the project site in question tonight, and there will be a secondary access connecting to that existing site here. And I'll pull up the site plan where you can see that through access from the existing U-Haul facility.
So you would access the storage facility through the same access that you would do the current one?
That would be the secondary access. The primary access would be via Los Alamos Road.
Okay, off of Los Alamos. Yes. Is there a right turn lane off of Los Alamos or a left turn lane? How does that work?
Currently, it'll be non-restricted full access to get into this site from Los Alamos Road. However, we do have a traffic condition that identifies should there be any concerns for turning movements in the future, the city reserves the right to restrict that to right in, right out only.
And is this an entrance that is protected by a code to open the gate?
No, it's non-gated access.
Non-gated access. Okay. And you mentioned the U-boxes were 3 to 4 boxes high. Can you explain that a little bit more, showing that graph that you gave us?
Sure. So here you're seeing an open concept floor plan for the structure itself. These U-boxes serve as almost like pods where they're, I think, 8 by 10 in size. Is that correct?
4 feet wide, 5 feet long, 8 feet tall.
5 by 8, 4 feet high. So those will be stacked on top of each other. Customers won't directly be accessing those within the warehouse facility. However, the staff that's operating those within the structure will be accessing those via forklifts, where they will bring it to the customer here at the staging area at the customer lobby. So they won't be really walking around here. They'll be contacting for their U-boxes to be brought to the customer lobby area.
So if I'm a customer and I rent one of these U-boxes, I don't have access to that location. They'd have to bring it to me through a forklift? I'm not quite sure I understand.
That is correct. So in terms of, customers going around this warehouse, it's not designated here. So this is how they're storing their U-boxes, and it could be stacked 3 to 4 U-boxes high. However, they need to contact U-Haul in advance to access their U-box, because U-Haul will be, pulling out their specified storage unit, and they'll be staging it here where the customers can access it.
So there's no customer access to these boxes as in a typical storage facility. Is that a correct statement?
That is a correct statement, yes.
Okay. So there would be no need for elevators to reach the second or third floor?
No, there are no floors in this
There
structure.
are no floors. It's a single level?
That is correct, yes.
With
It's a
boxes
one-story
stacked?
building, yes.
Okay. And it's all enclosed within a structure
That is correct, yes.
with access off of Los Alamos?
Correct.
Interesting. That's all my questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher. Mr. LaPaglia?
Will the applicant have a presentation later?
No, the applicant does not have a designated presentation, but he'll be able to answer any
that's fine.
questions.
Well, I have no questions right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. LaPaglia. Mr. Vrooman?
Yes, thank you, Farah, for your presentation. A few questions. Maybe if you know this, or maybe the applicant would know. Where's the nearest, this is kind of a new concept, obviously. Where else do you have a similar type of location?
I will defer that to the applicant.
Okay, I'll
It's
ask.
the first one we've seen in the city,
That's-
certainly, so.
That's fine. What's the total number of boxes that can be stored in that facility?
I do not know the maximum. That's not specified in the conceptual phase just yet.
Do you want,
But maybe what we do is we do the
just do it.
staff questions first, and then
And then
we'll park
defer
lot
it.
those
Okay.
for the applicant.
yeah. Okay, sounds good. Okay, so then one for the staff, if you know this one, is obviously the existing facility, I believe, has gates on the front just because you don't want your trucks rolling out or trailers stolen, those type of things like that. And because this one has reciprocal access from the new site over to the old one. You mentioned no gates at the street, which totally makes sense. Is there a similar gate system between the two properties, like at nighttime, so that way, even if somebody drove into the parking lot here, they still wouldn't be able to access the vehicles parked for storage at the main site off of Jefferson?
It's a great question. Currently, as proposed, there's no gate that's being proposed as part of this development between the existing site and this site before you, so.
So I guess my point is that with the existing gates on the Jefferson side, I mean, that was a deterrent to have vehicles basically being driven, stolen off the property. So without a similar type of system on that side, so now somebody could kind of go around, come in off Los Alamos, get onto the property on the southern part that previously, right now, couldn't because of the gates, right? But now they could, so it doesn't make much sense. So would it make more sense, and would the applicant, this is again, back to another applicant question, to put a similar locking gate system when the business is closed so that they don't have people coming onto their property and stealing the trailers and vehicles?
Yeah, we can defer that question to the
Okay.
applicant. As far as our municipal code's concerned, they can certainly do that. We don't have any restrictions for for that to occur. It would just need to be within the height limitations as identified
Yeah,
in the
it just
code.
seems like a common sense
Yeah.
theft deterrent of what they had originally. Why wouldn't they just extend that? So,
Also important to note that it might need some sort of Knox box or other mechanism as well for fire access, because this does serve as an essential secondary access for fire.
absolutely, totally agree. And then last question, as far as the design standards, I like them. Is this as a result of on the west side that we did the design standards last year? Have these been in place?
No, so this is not a residential project. So this is just staff doing a good job of following up with the applicant over a number of years to make sure that we got the design right. It took a while, but much better design than what originally came in.
I agree. I'm just wondering if it's worth having something, because I like it, and it being on the west side, that kind of goes with the theme that we did for the residential development there. Would it make sense to have those same type of design standards? I know it's somewhat down the road, but maybe for future projects that we would be able to incorporate that. If a similar type of project came in somewhere along that same downtown area, could we do that? The applicant was nice enough to actually do it, but it'd be nice to, if somebody wasn't as cooperative, to make them do it.
Good. It's a good point, Vice Chair. Yeah, I think it's something we could consider in the future, doing objective standards for the other use types in the city. Yeah, that's a good idea, I think.
Okay. Thank you. That's the only questions I have. I guess the other ones are for the applicant.
Great idea. Thank you, Mr. Vrooman. Mr. Wojcik.
Just a comment and a question. I like the design, so good job, staff.
Thank you.
My question is, if I understand my reading, there's no street improvements that need to be done as part of this project, right?
Very minor, and a lot of it, correct me if I'm wrong, Casey, our engineering staff is also here with us in the room. There's minor improvements required in order to realign that driveway and push it closer to the easterly side, I believe. There's currently a driveway approach that's existing there. And there's minor improvements related to WCAMP for the storm drains on the public right-of-way. But it's already improved to the ultimate width, so there's minimal street improvements required there.
All right, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wojcik. Couple questions, Farah. Looks like this project, based on the paperwork submitted that we reviewed, started around 2019, 2020?
2020.
2020, okay. Looking at a conditional use permit and what you have here, well over 400 pages, so certainly a lot of detail and specifics have gone into this, haven't it?
Yes.
So based on that, from what I was able to read through and discern, and based on your expertise, it looks to me like this project falls within the general plan designation?
Yes.
And as far as zoning, being consistent with community commercial?
Correct, yes.
And there was no, this fell outside of the CEQA requirements as well?
No.
So we didn't have to follow through on the CEQA?
Right. So we did a CEQA review, and this qualifies for an infill exemption. So it's typically used in an area that's already somewhat developed, right? And if you look at that site, as we saw in the aerial, the surrounding lots are all somewhat developed, so you can use that infill exemption.
Yep, got it. Were there any, I saw the sign posted at the site, was there any public comments? Did we hear anything from the public at all?
No, despite noticing a little bit earlier than is required, we did not receive any written or verbal public comments on this item.
I know there's some conversation around police and fire. Have they signed off on the project as well?
I did receive police conditions of approval for this project, so they've thoroughly reviewed it as well, and fire has provided conditions of approval for this project as well.
Okay, great. Looking at traffic, the traffic report that I read looks like it'll be minimal disruption as it stands now, what's anticipated, correct?
That is correct. So the proposed storage facility is anticipated to have very low peak trips that falls far below what's required in order to even do a traffic impact report. So they've done a scoping agreement to scope out their traffic impacts, and it falls way below what's required to warrant any concerns for traffic.
Got it. That said, right, when you look at Los Alamos and you look at Jefferson there's a lot of construction going on in that area it's certainly going to change here over the next couple of years. It looked to me like on the condition of use permit, page 23, number 175 on traffic specifics. It talks about safety concerns being addressed by the city after completion if needed. That's kind of read to me like an after-action review from my corporate work days. Can you elaborate further on this? Is what I'm reading here is that once the proposal is set, that we're going to monitor and look at that after the fact to see if, in fact, we hit the expectations for safety that we were looking for? Is that what that means?
That is a great question. So yes, in terms of monitoring how the project access will occur and whether there's no disruption of traffic, they can continue operating with full turning movements and full access to the site. However, should there be disruption in the future due to the proximity of the left turn in on Los Alamos Road and the proximity of that pocket to the signal, we reserve the right to do a restriction for right in, right out access. It's not untypical for a use permit to be regulated like this in an infield fashion. If they were to follow the same suit for noise, should they, have higher levels in the future, we could still continue to regulate that down the road in terms of how they're operating. So we have that placeholder in there just to make sure that we could regulate it should there be disruption in the future.
I think that's fantastic, and the applicant is amenable to that?
Yes, he's reviewed that condition and has accepted it.
Okay, great. That's all the questions I had, Farah. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to if the applicant wants to do a presentation and/or come up and take some questions. Well, certainly the floor is yours. Typically, each applicant and appellant is limited to a 15-minute presentation and a 10-minute rebuttal if requested. You're welcome to come to the podium and please state your name for the record.
Hi, Chad Farron, Area District Vice President.
And Jason Mastriana, I am the owner's representative.
Chad and Jason, welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Is there anything you wanted to open up with based on what you heard prior to us asking questions?
No, I think we're just ready to move forward with the questions or concerns you guys have.
Okay, should we start with Mr. Fisher and work across? Mr. Fisher, any questions?
This proposed new building is next door to Cal West. And what's on the other side, which would be the, what?
The easterly
East side?
Yes.
What is on the east side of that building?
It's a landscaping business.
Okay. So you're in the middle of those two?
Yes, we are just to the south of the new development.
Okay. Oh, I see it right here. Okay, that gives me a better perspective.
Definitely doesn't look like that right now.
I'm trying to understand this new concept. If I'm a storage customer, which I am in another storage facility, I'm able to...
U-Haul?
No. I'm able to go into that facility at all times by way of a code that I would to get the gate, to get into my assigned space. Here, that's not the case from what I understand. This is going to be a open floor with stacked boxes. Now, when I come in and I apply for a box, I'm given a specific box?
Yes, that's correct.
And then if I want to go and visit that box to take something out of it or put into it, I have to contact U-Haul and they have to arrange for someone to bring that to me in the lobby.
Yes, that's correct. We would like to have more time to make sure that we have the available staff to bring that to you, but we accommodate all of our customers. So a lot of the times if you're on your way in, you're going to be there in an hour, we'll get you taken care of.
Is the current facility 100% occupied?
Just about. It runs from high 90s to 100%.
And how many boxes will this new facility hold?
This is roughly 800 to 900.
Approximately 900.
And you feel that there is a great need for this additional storage?
Oh, yes.
with,
How did you measure that, or how did you come up with that?
Well, some of it is based on the self-storage business, so we look at our existing properties, not just here, but, in the 100-mile range that we run, as well as just competitors and demand that we can't keep up with. The U-Box concept, like we're proposing here, we do have other warehouses, and it's a rapidly expanding part of our business. So it's just based on numbers now and forecasted demand.
So that you have other facilities that have this concept implemented already.
Correct.
Have you incurred any issues since you opened those?
No issues. We've been running this U-Box business, I want to say close to 10 years. Since like COVID years, it really rapidly expanded just because of the portability and a lot less contact with workers and whatnot. So, we're just picking up with the demand that we've seen in the last few years.
So looking at these pictures that I see, if I'm a new customer and I've got stuff to bring in to this storage facility, you're going to have a U-Box outside in a parking lot adjacent to the lobby for me to put my stuff in, and then you actually take it back and put it in a location within the facility. Is that a fair assumption?
No, this site, it would be internal. So the box would be in the facility, and you would like back up to the loading area and move it inside. We also have, like you saw in that picture, the ability you can take it home yourself via the trailer. You could also have it delivered to your house, where you load at your house and then it just comes back and goes right into the building.
But if these are stacked 3 and 4 high, how do I get my stuff into it?
That's where you schedule ahead of time, either call or online. You book a time, like I'll be there tomorrow at 10 a.m. We'll have it prepped. It'll be pulled off the stack and set in the staging area.
I see, and
It's
then
all
that's,
ready for you, pull up, it's ready to go.
and then I just pull up and
Yeah.
put my stuff in it,
Yep.
so to speak.
Correct.
Interesting. I have not heard of this concept before, but you said it's been around for a long time, huh?
Yes, we're trying to get the word out.
Well, you must be successful in the current facility, so you're adding on this
Correct.
new
That's-
facility.
We believe so, yes.
I've used U-Haul, by the way, not for storage, but other things.
Thank you.
appreciate that.
So thank you very much. I appreciate your presentation.
No problem.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher. Mr. LaPaglia?
I have no questions, but I get my propane at U-Haul, so thanks.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vrooman?
Yeah, number one, thank you for being flexible on the design standards. It really fits the neighborhood well. It's a good look. And it's a good business. Just out of curiosity, because like I'd mentioned, this is kind of a new concept. I think you'd kind of reiterated that. Where do you have maybe a closest one similar to it that's around here?
We actually have the same setup at the existing site next door, much smaller, but it does have this U-Box operation running. From there, we have Orange County. We have a larger facility in Anaheim. We have a new one in Placentia. We have them in San Diego. So kind of any big city, I'd say within 100 miles, we probably have close to 20 other ones running right now, and a lot of them in development as well.
Oh, very good. Just out of curiosity, when people call ahead of time and then you pull their box offline, I noticed on the design here, you have room for 2 boxes in the staging area. Is there a certain amount of period of time that, hey, you've got this window of time for 30 minutes, or these 2 boxes, because then you're moving boxes around? I'm just curious.
Not specifically. We don't, say there's a limit. It's more just communication at the time when they call. It'd be like, well, how long do you need? The average person, even to load 1 box, the average person, it's less than 30 minutes.
Okay.
And many people, it's 10, 15. If you just have a few bulky items and a couple helpers, you're just throwing it in and you're leaving. So we just communicate with the customer one-on-one and, try to accommodate them the best we can.
How many total number of boxes will the facility store there?
We believe it's just about 900
Right at 900.
Oh, wow.
with this design.
And then I know I brought up the gates, and you do have gates on the front on the Jefferson, okay, not on the main entrance, but is it where the delivery trucks are?
There's no gates on the current property, there's no gates preventing.
Okay,
anyone from
okay,
going in.
then I
Yeah,
stand
it's open.
corrected. For some reason, I thought it was, you had some gates, but it was, maybe it's the area where, in the back of the business there?
No, it's.
On the west side, there is a wrought iron gate that butts up to Cal West, but it's
Yeah.
not a gate that's used.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, so it's not
permanently locked,
anything that,
closed. That's the only gate that is anywhere on the property.
so somebody could drive in, middle of the night, drive around?
Yes.
And then drive out, okay.
Yep.
So it would be no different, than there's no sense having anything between the two properties there?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, okay, sounds good, that's all the questions I have, thank you.
Mr. Vrooman, thank you. Mr. Wojcik?
Yeah, thank you. So are these boxes 5 by 8?
Yes.
Okay. And I think I heard that they'll be stacked 3 to 4 high?
Yes, I believe in this one, we're an average, it depends because the height changes, so anywhere from 3 to potentially 5 high.
Okay, so you could go higher than
Yeah.
than 4. That would get you roughly 40 feet, and then
Yeah, they're 7.5 tall.
7.5 tall. Okay, all right. Can we bring up the slide that's the overhead of where all the boxes would be within the facility, and it had that customer
The floor plan.
floor plan, I guess, is what it was. Just had a question on, and this may not be the right one to do, but walk me through the staging. Is the staging happening inside or outside?
Everything is all done inside the building.
Okay, so, and that would be kind of in that middle section?
The open space is where a forklift is going to drive to figure out
okay.
which aisle or which lane the box is in. It'll be pulled down and then it'll be staged in the customer lobby area.
Okay. And then, when you guys, let's say you go to a home and pick up the box, is that done on those trailers? There was a photograph of a truck with a trailer on it. Is that how you do it?
Some are, yeah.
Yeah, some of them can be done that way.
Okay.
It all depends on how many boxes you may have. A bigger house, more boxes. So sometimes they're on a bigger truck as opposed to one at a time on a trailer like that.
Okay. And then no matter what size truck you use, you'll have the ability to access the property and do a U-turn?
Yes.
Or,
Yep.
or
Yes.
whatever you need to do. Okay. And then in the staging area here, there's 2 boxes, I think, right, that you show?
Yes.
Is that what you're limited to, or is this just conceptual at this point?
I'd say conceptual,
yeah.
you know, that layout is likely to be more open on that side. If you had 4 or 8, we would just, again, accommodate you and move things around and make it work.
Okay.
That's the nice thing, it's all flexible, so we can just move and whatever you need, take care of it.
Got it. All right. No further questions. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Wojcik. Just a couple things, Chad and Jason. Parking, code is 4. Looks like you're going to have 6. Is that 6 for just customers? Does that include employees?
The parking on site would be just for customers.
Okay. How many on-site employees do you plan on roughly?
We expect this, yeah,
Sorry, did you say adding? How many?
Or just how many
employees?
on-site employees for that particular area?
This area, I would say probably about 20
Okay.
staff members.
For just the storage area?
eventually, it's, you
Yeah,
know, as
we will
ramp
build
up,
up to that. It won't be that amount to start.
Watching how quickly you were converting Mr. Fisher, I'd think
Yeah.
it'd probably be
Sure,
something better, right? You got your selling shoes on. We see a lot of various different business plans that get submitted up here, and yours were very thorough and very detailed, so I just want to say thank you. I appreciate that. I'm
No
sure my
problem.
commissioners echo that as well.
Thank you.
Do you have a targeted completion date if things move along as hoped? When you think this will be up and running? Because you've got a lot of development in that particular area. I would think there'd certainly be a need. Is there a targeted date you're looking at?
Yeah, we'd like to say as soon as possible. Of course, the variable is generally the, you know, plan reviews and whatnot, but, gosh, I mean, we'd love to shoot for 12 months, but I'm sure it could easily push 24, you know.
Okay.
But we're ready, so.
Yeah.
Outstanding. Okay. Gentlemen, that's all I had.
Mr.
Anything?
Chair, I have a couple more questions.
Go right ahead.
I understand the 900 boxes are all going to be 5 by 8 by 7.5. Is that correct?
Correct.
So I couldn't get a bigger one. I'd have to have 2 of them or 3 of them, depending upon what I'm storing.
Right, we just add more quantity.
Okay. Will the construction of this be in a phase, or will it all be constructed at one time?
All one time.
All at one time? And why the new concept in Murrieta?
Again, we don't really see it as new. It's just expansion. So just based on demand, obviously there's a lot of housing developments in the city, and we see that just with the demand that we just can't keep up with. So
Very good.
just to meet demand.
Very good. Well, I wish you success.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Absolutely. Gentlemen, anything else? Chad and Jason, thank you so much.
Thank
Thank you.
Much appreciated.
Okay, we'll move on to public testimony at 6:40 is opened. Madam Secretary, do we have any public comments, starting with proponents, opponents, then those neutral in that order, please?
Seeing none.
So we will close public testimony and discuss the matter amongst the commissioners. We'll close it at 6:41. Can someone please put the recommendation back on the screen, if you would, please? Gentlemen, any thoughts? I mean, hits the general plan, zoning, CEQA.
No, I think that the planning department did a great job. I think you had a great presentation. There's certainly a lot of detail when you go through all the information we got. So I have no real questions.
Mr. LePage, good. Mr. Vrooman? Mr. Wojcik?
I would just say, looking at this project, it's actually looks better than some of the housing projects that we've had in front of us. So hats off to you guys.
You can certainly tell some work's been done in here. This has been, what, about 4 years and 480-some pages? So there's certainly been some sweat equity that's brought this thing here, and it looks very buttoned up, I think, from our side. So I think we have consensus. So that said, I'd like to call for a motion in a second, please.
If it pleases the commission, would you like me to read the recommendation?
Sure.
Okay. Recommended action, staff recommends the commission consider and approve the notice of exemption for infill development pursuant to California Code of Regulations, Title 14, Section 15332, the guidelines for implementation of the California Environmental Quality Act, and adopt the resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of Murrieta approving Development Plan Permit 2021-2359 and Conditional Use Permit 2021-2360 for the construction operation of a 15,579 square foot self-storage facility on a 1.11 acre site on Los Alamos Road, based on the findings subject to conditions of approval in Exhibits A and B and operation statement in Exhibit C.
And I will make the motion to approve that.
I would second that motion.
We have a motion and we have a second. Madam Secretary, please do a roll call vote.
Commissioner Wojcik,
Aye.
Commissioner LaPaglia,
Aye.
Commissioner Fisher,
Aye.
Vice Chair Vrooman,
Aye.
Chair Harlan.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously, 5-0.
Fantastic. Okay, moving right along. Let's see, we can't round third anymore. That's we're into November, so I guess we're headed for what, the fourth quarter? So with that, Mr. Steele, any comments, questions?
Yeah, we're not going to overtime. Not going to overtime. So yeah, city planner comments. I just want to say staff did a great job. Farrah did a really great job on this, bringing this to the commission, and I appreciate the comments from the commission. This item is appealable. If the public would like to file an appeal, they can contact me, the city planner, or approach the staff at the planning counter. And I did want to note the next meeting this month is canceled. It's the week of Thanksgiving. I wish you all happy Thanksgiving. We may have the next meeting then after that would be anticipated the first meeting in December. And I don't know 100% yet if we'll have that meeting or not, but that would be the next meeting. So the next one in November is canceled. And that's it for me. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, comments, questions, anything we missed?
Nothing to add, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Planning Commission comments. Gentlemen, anything?
I'd just like to wish everybody a very happy Thanksgiving with their families and loved ones, and have a good holiday week.
Yeah, likewise, everyone have a great Thanksgiving. And I think it's important to announce, I'd like to take a quick moment of silence. The community lost a huge member to our family, Adam Bouvet, who is also known as Adam from the Mill. A father, a husband, a small business owner, most of all a friend to all of us. And he was tragically lost 2 weeks ago in Dallas, Texas. And it's really had a big effect on the community. This place was important to him. City council, the city, this chamber was important to Adam. He was a huge motivating factor for me to come onto the planning commission, and would always, want to give advice and talk about PC stuff, which was always fun. Just such a community giver, and he's truly, truly going to be missed. So if we could all just maybe close our eyes and take a moment of silence before we adjourn this meeting.
Absolutely.
Thank you much. And if you guys can support the mill in any way, and Adam, we love you and miss you, and we'll never forget you.
So well said. Thank you.
Yeah, just I'd like to echo my concerns, and obviously my prayers to the family, to Tracy as well, and his entire family is suffering so much for his loss. And he was just a great civic-minded person, and I think most of us know him. And in fact, I'd like to, if we could, adjourn the meeting in his name, if that would be okay. And then the only thing back to the Planning Commission is, would it be possible maybe to get consensus? If we could talk about some of these design standards for other similar type of projects into the future, maybe look at that, entertain that idea.
So noted, yeah. We can look at that in the future.
Okay. That would be it. And again, happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Mr. Vrooman. Mr. Wojcik?
I'll be brief. I'll just echo everybody else's comments.
Certainly concur. When you look at Thanksgiving, right, it's time with family and friends. And I think also just a time to reflect and be thankful for everything that we have, for who we engage and who we interact with, and just for all that we have, right? Not necessarily what we don't have, but what we do have. And wish everybody some well-deserved time off as it gets to you, and peaceful time. So I guess in respect for Adam Bouvet, we'll adjourn this meeting in his name. So with no further business, I ask to adjourn the meeting. Good?
Sounds good.
With that, Planning Commission meeting is adjourned.